Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Abrar. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today my topic in biology is inheritance or genetics. We can define inheritance as it is the knowledge which deals with how the characteristics and the features they are transferred from one generation to another, how the features and the characteristics they are transmitted and transferred from parents to their offspring. So this is definition of inheritance. Now when we study and when we observe different species and the features of one species, for example, if we are talking about human species, so we see that there is a lot of variation. There are so many differences for every feature. This variation, these differences are called variation. For instance, there is, let's take the example of skin complexion, skin color. So we see there is a lot of variation in skin color. And similarly, if we talk about the human height, so once again there is a lot of variation, a wide range of variation for human height. Similarly, if we talk about the color of eyes or the hair color or the shape of the hair, curly hair, straight hair, or somewhat in between. Similarly, if we talk about the earlobe, some people have free earlobe, some have joint earlobe, and some can roll the tongue, some cannot roll their tongue. So there are so many features, and and for every characteristic and for every feature there is lot of variation. So we are talking about this variation. If we talk about variation, so you might have observed there are so many shades and there are so many colors of tulip flowers, or there are so many shades and colors of rose flower. So this is variation and differences among individuals of the same species. There are two types of variation. One is continuous variation and the other is discontinuous variation. Now let's talk about continuous variation. A continuous variation is when there is a wide range of phenotype between two extremes. What does it mean? That, for instance, let's take the example of human height. So we can see a wide range of variation. There is a wide range of phenotypes. Phenotypes mean expression. Let's say if one person has a very tall height, maybe his height is about 7 feet or 6 feet and 6.5 feet, but the other person, maybe you might have observed some people are very dwarf, their height is only 4 feet or even less than it. And there are so many people which exist or which can fall between these two extremes, very tall and very dwarf. So then we see a very wide range of phenotypes. So some people are medium, some are tall, some are less taller, some are dwarf, some are high, more than this, and we can see a wide range with no discrete or distinct classes. So this is continuous variation. Another example of continuous variation is skin complexion. We see that we cannot say that humans have only two types or two categories in terms of skin complexion. We cannot say that only there are two types of people, one have very dark complexion and one have very fair complexion. No, there is a wide range of phenotypic expression in terms of skin complexion. Some people are very white and some people have very dark skin complexion, and then there is a wide range. Some people are brown, some have tan color, some have very fair color, some have medium fair color, some people have very dark skin complexion, some persons have medium. So there is a wide range once again. So this is continuous variation. But the other type of variation is discontinuous variation. Here limited number of phenotype with no intermediates are there. For instance, if I take the example of earlobe, so some people have free earlobe like this, and some people have joint earlobe. So here this diagram is showing that some people have free earlobe and some persons they have joint earlobe. Their earlobe is not free, it is directly joined with the skin. So there are two discrete classes. This is discontinuous variation. This is discontinuous variation. Another example of discontinuous variation is blood group. For example, some persons may have blood group A, the other have blood group B or blood group O. So there are discrete and distinct classes. So another feature of continuous variation is that continuous variation is controlled by several alleles of a gene. That's why there is a continuous variation. For example, the human height is being controlled by several alleles. There are so many genes, there are so many forms of a gene which are controlling the human height. Therefore, we can see a wide range of human height. On the other hand, for discontinuous variation, it is controlled only by 2 alleles of a gene or 3 alleles of a gene. For example, there can be 2 alleles or 3 alleles for blood group. One allele is controlling blood group A, the other allele is controlling and representing and expressing blood group B. So 2 or 3 discrete classes for discontinuous variation. This is because only 2 or 3 alleles are controlling discontinuous variation. Third feature and the third difference between the continuous and discontinuous variation is, last but not the least, that continuous variation is affected by environment. Environment has great influence on continuous variation and the features of continuous variation. For example, the most common example is once again skin complexion. Skin color, skin complexion is greatly affected by environment, is greatly influenced by sun exposure. It is common observation that if we will greatly for a large period of time, for so many hours, a person is exposed to sun, UV rays or sunlight, so obviously we will observe that his or her skin color will get dark because of greater exposure to sun. However, if a person prevents or is not exposed to sunlight for a large period of time, or if he or she uses sunblock or sunscreen to prevent its skin from effects of UV rays, so then his skin color will be fair, will be white, we can say. It means that continuous variation like skin complexion is greatly affected by environment. for example sunlight. Similarly, human height, it can be affected by our diet. If we are taking proper diet, so calcium and vitamin D etc. and protein etc., so maybe that person or that child, when he will grow to its adult age, so his height will be he will be tall enough. But if that person is not, that child is not taking calcium or vitamin D, and he is not using he is not being given balanced diet, so maybe his height will be less. Once again, it means that the continuous variation is affected by environment. On the other hand, discontinuous variation is not affected by the environment. For example, blood group, it has nothing to do with the environment. Either the temperature is higher or lesser, either the environment, whatever the environment is, the diet or anything else, it has no effect on the discontinuous variation. It has no effect on the blood group. It has no effect on the shape of the earlobe. This is example, that's how the discontinuous variation, we can say it is not affected by the environment. It is purely genetic. It is only controlled by the genes, whereas the continuous variation is controlled by the genes as well as by the environment. Now, at the last part of my lecture, I will describe that how the graph of continuous variation looks like and how the graph of discontinuous variation it appears. First of all, for continuous variation, the graph is like bell shape. The graph is like bell shape. How and why? Because most of the individuals, they fall in the medium category. For instance, if we are talking about height, which is continuous variation, so most of the people, their height is average. For instance, for example, 5 feet 8 inch. And the people who are very tall, extra tall, like 7 feet or 8 feet, they are very rare. So their frequency and their number is very less. So that's why they will fall on one extreme. And the people who are very dwarf, if their height is very less, for example 4 feet only, so once again their number in the population is very less. So once again they will fall on the other side of the graph. But most of the people, they will set and they will fall in average. This is for continuous variation, and that's why the graph for continuous variation is bell shape. On the other hand, the graph for discontinuous variation, we can represent it in the form of frequency graph or bar graph, where there are only 2 bars or 3 bars. For example, let's take the example of earlobe. So there will be 2 bars only. One bar is representing the population or the number of people for having free earlobe, and the other bar is representing the number of people in the population which have joint earlobe. So this is the difference about the graphs. So I hope that you would have understood variation and its types. Thank you very much.